Chickens are not aquatic creatures, so while they may get into the water for drinking purposes, they are not likely to stay in the water for long. Chickens are fast-moving creatures that can fly short distances to perch on tree branches or other elevated objects. When their feathers get wet, chickens become susceptible to colds and pneumonia that could lead to death. Chickens do not float either, so they would have to stand on the bottom of the body of water. If a chicken were to fall into deep water and could not get out, it would drown. Chickens also become easy prey for predators such as coyotes when in water. Chickens can swim, if necessary, by flapping their wings quickly and keeping their heads above the surface. This in no way means that chickens enjoy swimming or even staying in the water long enough to appreciate it. They simply know how to keep themselves alive in an emergency situation before getting back onto land and higher ground where they comfortably belong. How far can chickens swim? There is no definitive answer to the question of how far chickens can swim. Many people, however, have found it difficult to believe that a chicken could ever float and survive in water. The truth, however, is that this is entirely possible, and while some breeds would never be able to keep their heads above the surface for an extended period of time, if at all, others seem capable of floating for quite a bit longer than you might suspect. To get answers about how far chickens can swim, we decided to talk directly with backyard poultry breeders who raise ducks and geese, as well as with experts on animal behavior. Most everyone with whom we spoke had heard reports of one breed or another being waterproofed by generations of selective breeding. In fact, even as far back as the 1950s, a poultry magazine published an article describing one method of waterproofing chickens. This process involves immersing the bird in water for 3 to 5 days, which, needless to say, is not a recommended chicken raising technique. In any case, there is a bit of chicken trivia out there that seems fairly well accepted. It goes something like this. On average, most breeds of chickens can float and swim for up to 30 minutes, including Muscovies, but it varies from one breed to another and also depends on various factors such as size and how much body fat they have at the time of submersion, swimming. Some breeds are less capable of floating than others, and the ability to float also varies depending on whether or not a chicken is in good health. For example, during extremely cold weather when chickens are less active, they have difficulty generating enough body heat to stay warm. As a result, their bodies actually tend to sink rather than float when they fall into the water. Furthermore, any breed of chicken can drown if it's not able to keep its head above the surface for an extended period of time, or if it panics. Also, if you've ever seen ducks swimming, you know that they often dive down below the surface periodically in order to breathe, so they don't hold their entire head out of the water at once. Chickens are unable to do this because, unlike ducks, they are unable to close one of their nostrils at will to keep water out. We also learned during our research that chickens, being clucks, are not the smartest creatures on Earth. Therefore, if they sense danger or get scared, they might jump into a body of water for no apparent reason. On the other hand, birds have developed some very clever strategies for getting around in water through their many years of evolution, including the use of air sacs, feathers, and claws. For example, geese can walk along the ocean floor to avoid predators without ever coming up for air, while ducks often sleep on the surface to avoid nighttime attacks by land-based hunters, such as foxes. Waterfowl also have special grow in their bills. These act as filters, allowing them to strain out unwanted bits of matter as they feed. Grown goose will usually be able to float effortlessly across a swimming pool, even if it's not particularly fit, while most breeds of chicken would sink like a stone in such deep water.